Hello, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. Can you give me just a half a second to finish typing a message?
Of course.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
All right. Just actually working with somebody else on Fiverr. Just
No.
wanted to. I forgot already that I met you there.
Oh, yeah.
Um, all right. So we have discovered something very new and interesting about our podcast. I joined I call it a support group.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I joined a community of podcasters, which is a training program as well, and found out about this great tool. Well, see, when my podcast was set up, a guy on my team who was working for me at the time, he set it up, and I knew actually it was he's the one who had recommended I do a podcast,
Mm-hmm.
years ago, and I had thought it was ridiculous. So I
Mm-hmm.
poo-pooed the idea, but then ultimately realized 2 years later, man, was he right? I wish I'd listened to him in the first place, because
Right.
I would have been a little ahead of the podcast craze as opposed to now kind of being part of the massive rush.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing he didn't know, he didn't have the technical background. So when our podcast was set up, from what I can tell now, our systems are terrible. Like what's the tagging, everything behind the scenes was never being done. So the
Okay.
fact that we've actually been successful as we have been is kind of remarkable
Okay.
because, the most recent episode, the episode you did, and maybe it's because you did it. Maybe you're my good luck charm. But
Okay.
that episode busted up. And well, because what I did is I went back in and I followed some of the instructions I've learned and tagged things in a certain way. And I changed a bunch of settings in iTunes. So I don't know exactly what made the difference, but we had some missing links or not technical links, but there's just some missing ways of doing things in between iTunes and our podcast host, which is a company called Libsyn.
Right.
So there are ways in which Libsyn, because there's three entities here. There's iTunes, there's Libsyn, which is technically the host because
Mm-hmm.
that's we pay for them to store the episodes,
Mm-hmm.
and then the episodes are actually broadcast through the blog, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
So in the blog, there's PowerPress, which is what you're working in when you're
Mm-hmm.
working on the blog. So my understanding originally was that all that mattered were the settings in PowerPress because PowerPress was communicating directly with iTunes.
Okay.
So we did all that right, but the information I didn't get were two pieces of information that were missing. One was that Libsyn being our host, that because that's ultimately where people are going,
Mm-hmm.
there's all sorts of information that should be in Libsyn that wasn't. That because it's the host, that when people go to listen to it and how they find things, it's still a part of the searchability.
Okay.
And then there's this other idea of tagging, which is primarily what I wanted to talk to you about today, about
Mm-hmm.
tagging using this other software. The result was, so yesterday with the episode you did, we went in and we made the changes in iTunes, we made the changes in Libsyn, and we tagged that episode using this other tool that we found about.
Okay.
And we did that uh, Wednesday, I guess, the day when we broadcast it.
Mm-hmm.
And that episode is now our third biggest in history. Like on that day, it was the third biggest day in history.
Okay.
And yes, for the first time ever, the
Mm-hmm.
second day of broadcast was bigger than the first day.
Wow.
So which means it's getting organic growth, which is exactly what has been the thing that has puzzled us the most because we have a pretty successful show, but we've not seen that
Mm-hmm.
tripling and quadrupling factor that we should be seeing.
Mm-hmm.
And that, which is why I joined this community because I was like, okay, what are we doing? And then, so all real quickly in a week, I've already discovered a few things that we could be
Mm-hmm.
doing differently.
Right.
So, what I wanted as a project, what I wanted to have you work on
Mm-hmm.
was this tagging software that we can use.
Mm-hmm.
That is, like I said, I don't know exactly what's adding the power, but I think that's adding a lot of the power.
Okay.
because honestly, Denise Martin, the episode, nobody knows who she is. I mean, it's not like she's an author. She's not, I mean, there's no name recognition, and yet her episode busted up. So to say nothing of what would happen with my well-known authors that I interview.
Right, right.
So now we want to go back to all previous episodes and tag them using this software
Okay.
because now what I suspect is going to happen is, you know, these well-known authors and different people, anytime they're Googled, we're going to come up.
Right, right.
So that's the project. The project is going
Okay.
back to the previous episodes, and I can show you how to do this.
Okay. Do you want to show me now or you want to
I
do
do.
it later?
Yeah, I want to show it to you now. And you probably won't. I want to show it to you now because we made the time to do so. However, you probably won't be tackling it maybe until Monday or so, and I'll tell you why. The other thing that
Okay.
came up is we're going to change the cover artwork for the podcast. Cover
Okay.
artwork being what people see in iTunes.
Okay.
Because I'm now realizing it's not as bold and effective as it should be. When I started my podcast, it was pretty trendy to have like the photo of the host as the
Yeah.
front, which is what
Right.
my iTunes cover is.
Right.
And but that's kind of fallen off the trend. And what I'm learning is that we need a
Okay.
much bolder cover art. So
Okay.
that's the guy I was just talking to on Fiverr. We have somebody on Fiverr creating new
Mhm.
artwork for us.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
I don't want you to because when you add the tags, this tool that I'm going to show you,
Right.
it part of it is adding the artwork for each episode individually.
Okay.
So I don't want to. What I'm suggesting
Yeah.
is right.
Yeah.
So just wait till we have the new artwork so that you're doing it
Right.
all at once.
Okay. Before you show me the tool, do you have Google Analytics connected to your website?
It is, I'm sure. We have a few things. I mean, I don't ever really look at. First of all, I'm hardly even paying attention to my normal website these days. JeffreyShaw.com is my primary website. Not even paying attention to it much these days because
Mm-hmm.
my blog is what's taken over. My blog.jeffreyshaw.com is what's taken over. That's where the podcast resides. That's because the difference is JeffreyShaw.com is primarily still my website as a photographer,
Mm-hmm.
even though I've tried to blend in my coaching and speaking.
Mm-hmm.
It's still where my photography clients go to see me.
Mm-hmm.
The blog has become the platform for all things relative to coaching, which is where my business is going. We are also in the process of redoing both websites. I've just hired a designer. So we're going to have jeffreyshaw.com is going to become a whole new website. It will still have to incorporate photography, but it will be it's going to be more of a personal branding, like an author speaker type of page.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Then the blog will be incorporated in there, but then there's going to be a whole new website, which is going to be creativewarriors.com because the Creative Warriors brand has taken over, which
Okay.
I named the podcast that. It was a great name and I liked it. But I didn't, fortunately, it's really caught on. Like my tribe really identifies with that name.
Right. Right.
So it's become its own brand. So we're making it its own website. And I have a number of coaching programs that are called a Creative Warrior Unleashed. We're going to do someday, I don't know if it'll be next year, but we're going to do a live event, and that's going to be called Creative Warriors Unite. So
Yeah.
we're building everything around that brand now. So it needs to be its own website, and that's where the podcast will be as well.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I haven't really been paying heavily. So Google Analytics I know is attached to my website, but I haven't really been looking there. What I pay more attention to right now, honestly, are in Libsyn, I see all our download stats.
Okay. Okay.
Right. And then on the blog, we have Jetpack. So Jetpack tells us the visitors.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we look at those statistics, and we also look at our opt-ins obsessively all day long, like because everything we do ultimately should inspire someone to opt into our list, and that's the most important thing to us. So
Okay. Well, just tell your web person just to make sure that Google Analytics is running off your blog domain also, because later on you may want to look at that because it's going to tell you the channels that people are coming through, either organic or
yeah,
paid ads, whatever.
yeah.
Um,
Which Jetpack on the blog does a little bit. Jetpack is a
okay.
WordPress plugin, so it does it'll tell you your top referrers. Our top referrer is always Twitter. Um,
Okay.
we have our management at Twitter is excellent. We have a team actually. It's
Okay.
that really handles Twitter. I mean, obviously I see everything as well, but that's a strong. I'm over 17,000 followers on Twitter now.
Okay. Okay.
That's a big feeder for us.
Okay.
The other
Cool.
cool thing is regarding the podcast is you can now embed a podcast episode on Facebook and Twitter, which is really cool. Yesterday was the first day we did it, and that's kind of remarkable. So now people can listen to a podcast right within their Facebook feed.
Right. Exactly.
So now they don't even have to go to another window, and it's good. I mean, there's really no downside. I mean, I could say the downside is it's not driving traffic to our blog or website, but the upside is greater in that it's still counting as a download. And when it comes to a podcast, when it comes to monetizing a podcast, it's all about downloads. We need to tell a prospective advertiser that we get 10,000 downloads a month. Or we get,
Right.
that's all that they care about. Like, they want to know your audience. It's the only way we're ever going to be able to monetize it.
Okay.
So that's why we're working so hard on doing anything we can to get those numbers of downloads up, because this is all a prerequisite to wanting to monetize it. I've been doing it now for 8 months. It was my goal I was willing to, I love doing it, but at the same time, you can't go through your whole life doing something that's taking up an inordinate amount of your time. That's taking away from money-making time. So, the goal always was within first year that we would get it to the point of being monetized and growing from there.
Okay. Cool.
Now,
Go ahead.
as I say, as far as showing you this tool, I learned how to use it with a video that this podcasting community that I'm now part of. There's a huge library of videos, and so there's a really good video on it. It's only a little bit more than a minute long, so I thought it might make sense for me to share that with you first.
Okay. Okay.
And,
do you want to share
yeah,
your
let me
screen?
share the screen.
Yep.
Tell me again how to do that.
Just go up to call, and on the drop down, it's like it has Skype, contacts, conversation, call.
Oh, there it is. That's right. On mine, it's the plus sign. I remembered it was something different.
Okay.
There it is.
Okay, looks like you're coming in. Yep.
Okay.
Perfect.
Make this a little smaller. All right.
And you'll send me this link, I'm sure, but.
I don't know if I can. Again, it's part of a membership site, so I when I play it, I'm not sure. I'll have to look to see if a link comes up. But
or can I log in? I mean.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can give you access to it.
Okay.
All right. So it's a free software. It's called ID3, but I think there's a little bit more to the name than that. Let me see. So this will be something. Sorry.
ID.
No, there's more to the name than just ID3. Yeah, it's ID3, but there's more to it than that. And it's a free.
So
there it is. ID3
this,
editor.
Is this a plugin that you've done to your WordPress?
No, it's a.
I'll just watch.
Yeah, well, the ID3. So
Okay.
if you're on a PC, right? So if you
Yeah.
Google ID3 editor for PC,
Yeah.
it'll come up and it's a free download.
Okay.
So you just download that. And okay, so yeah, because this is the icon for it. I don't know if you right here.
Yep,
That's
yep,
ID3.
okay.
Actually, I initially downloaded it because I think it was originally designed for PCs. I downloaded it and realized I was trying to download a PC version and that didn't work.
Right,
But
right.
it took me a little longer to find the Mac version, but you'll have no problem finding the PC version.
Okay.
All right, so here's the video.
Okay.
And I guess it's 3 minutes long.
Okay.
Actually, how are you going to be able to hear this?
I can't, but
I just realized that.
yeah.
Because I have a headset on. Maybe.
Take your head.
Yeah. Let me take the headset off and put it near the speaker. The mic. I mean, the mic is super sensitive, so that should work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Paradisers.
Can you hear, Brenda?
Yes.
Okay.
Very necessary step of tagging your
Can you turn it up a little bit?
To this point, you successfully exported
Perfect.
MP3, and now it's in a folder of your choice. For me, that's the finalized MP3s. I am now going to right-click on the MP3 of my choice, which is the James Swanwick 2, and I am going to go to the Open With. Now, when you go to Open With, once you've installed ID3 Editor, and you can just Google download ID3 Editor, and you will be able to download that on your computer for either a PC or a Mac. And once you've installed it, it will show up right here. If not, just click Other and search for it. But after you found it one time, it will automatically populate right here. So you're going to open it with the ID3 Editor. So now the ID3 Editor has opened up with the James Swanwick 2 MP3, and I'm going to go through and actually tag this MP3. Now the reasoning behind tagging your MP3, guys, is so iTunes, Stitcher, and all the various directories, they can pull this data from this MP3 if you tag it correctly. So I have my blog post open with James Swanwick, so I can just easily copy and paste. So I know that my title for James Swanwick is going to be just that. So I copy and paste it. I know that I am going to be the artist, John Lee Dumas. I know the album is going to be called Entrepreneur on Fire. I know in the comment section, I'm just going to copy and paste the intro that I've created for him. So that goes in the comment section. And then I don't fill anything else out. In my opinion, there's nothing else you need to fill out here. You do want to hit this little arrow, which is going to copy everything over into the ID3 version 1. So there that is. You're going to also want to skip the extended and click on the podcast. Click Enable Podcast Tag. And then now in the description, paste the description as well, which I did in the other standard section as well. And then the last two steps you're going to do, number one is click Lyrics. And under Lyrics, you're going to once again paste the description, very important. And then under Pictures, this is where you're going to add your image. Now I was told that you want a 1400 by 1400 image for Libsyn. When you're actually uploading logos into your ID3 editor, I was told that they want you to put a 300 by 300. So I have one of those saved right here. But you will see in Libsyn, which is my media host, I do have and use a 1400 by 1400 because that's what iTunes requires. And I also have uploaded my 1400 by 1400 to iTunes as well. So it's only for the tagging do I use the 300 by 300 as I was instructed to by Libsyn. So there it is. I'm clicking Update. Now this is updated, and I can see it by opening back up the finalized MP3, and look, it now has the art of the James Swanwick 2. So, podcast paradisers, that is how you correctly tag an MP3. These are steps I would suggest not skipping because it's very important to put this metadata onto your MP3 for the directories such as iTunes, Stitcher, and all of the others. This is just you taking one more step and preparing for paradise. Okay, podcast paradisers.
Stop.
Okay. Can you go into your blog and do one of these so I can watch?
Yeah. So, where you'll actually, well, we can, yeah, let's do, so
Or where I go?
one thing you'll need is you'll now need access to Libsyn, which I don't think,
Yeah,
oh, we did give you
Yeah.
access to that.
yeah, I
You
have
did.
to have that.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
yeah.
So you already have that. Excellent.
Yeah.
So let me open the blog dashboard. I can never remember which one's which. I wish it would give me a choice.
Yeah.
Some are my emails, some are my name.
50-50 chance.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so let's go to a previous one. Okay.
Okay.
And of course, you have to go over to the episode. Warren did some work in here trying to clean it up, so it's a little more numerical. Yeah, so now all the ones at the top, it's the same as before. It's just a little cleaner now because some of the numbers, there were some in there that were duplicates.
Okay. So now
it's been-
this
so
is
now-
this is in Dropbox, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Same folder that you have access to.
Yep.
So we're gonna tag Dr. Julie Connor. So we'll go open that up.
Okay.
This is the MP3 of it.
Okay.
Right click on it. Open with ID3 editor.
Okay.
Okay. We want the full title.
Okay.
The artist is always me. The album is always Creative Warriors.
Okay.
Just be aware it does have an S at the end.
Okay.
He didn't mention this on the film, but if you actually, or video, if you watch his, he does have the year and the genre of his other. I noticed that on my own.
So are we going to put this year for everything?
Good question. No, let's do put 2014 when it was 2014, just in case that becomes important. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not even seeing an other. Oh, there it is. Okay, there's another. Yeah, you should be able to tell that by the blog date.
Okay.
Again, a comment. Now, what I did for the other one is I just copied the first paragraph as long as the guest's name is in the first paragraph,
Okay.
which I know when I did Denise Martin, it was not. So if it's not, just kind of work that in somehow.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm trying to do this with a mouse. I'm terrible with a mouse because I use a tablet for everything. Like, why am I even fighting a mouse? I'm terrible with it. All right, so that, and then he said check the podcast, which the only thing we're doing here is, again, repeating
Right.
the description, and then same thing with the lyrics. So that's why when you do it in order of the tagging, it's nice that it works out the description is the last thing, so then you just need to, you've already copied it, so now you just need to paste it in a couple of areas.
Okay.
And then, of course, you would normally do the picture, which, here, I'll do the current icon, and we'll put this in a more convenient place. Right now it's in a separate folder.
Okay.
It's buried in here. And we do have a 300 DPI version of it. So that's the one. So it'll say 300, but so we'll have new artwork and we'll have it all by itself.
Okay.
So that's that. And then you just push the little arrow so everything transfers over here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. You hit update.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that tags the episode, and then the one other step that would be super helpful is we're going to see. So Jason, and I was telling him about you yesterday. I don't remember. I was making a connection that the two of you might work on something. I don't know. But Jason runs my Twitter account primarily.
Okay.
I mean, I create all the content. He just is in charge of putting it out there, and then I review all the conversations that are going on. But he literally watches it all day long, so he can keep up with it. He retweets things. That's how we track all our guests. People that we want to have on a podcast, we add them to a list, and we track them, and we build a relationship with them before we invite them.
Okay.
So that's why I hired him. So he follows them, he retweets their stuff. They get to know our name. They appreciate that we're retweeting them, so that when we do ask them to be a guest, it's almost always a yes. And then they go on a different list, which is the previous guest list, and then of course we just continue to support them. But that's how we build relationships. So in the process, he also puts out all the podcast episodes, and of course the most current one he puts out more often. But he also just he has a whole sequence to it. Certain number of times a day he puts out I think 3 times a day he puts out old episodes. So we want to compile a list for him of all the past podcast episodes once they've been tagged so that he can have a compiled list of them all.
Okay.
Because right now what he's doing is he goes to the blog. But we're going to switch over from... So every week when I broadcast a new episode, he goes in and grabs it off of Facebook, or he gets the link on Facebook, goes to the blog, copies it. And so he has a list, but that is only pointing directly to the blog. Now that we can embed podcasts right on Twitter, right in the feed, we want to supply him with those links. So I installed a new... okay, so it's actually not on the blog, which is interesting. I might move that. It's a plugin.
Mm-hmm.
Since you're already in the blog, it would actually make more sense to have the plugin here. I put the plugin on creative-warriors.com.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
it's okay if it's
we
over
kind of want it over there because of the URL. I want the URL to be creative-warriors because that's going to become the future podcast blog.
Right.
Yeah, so let's... Oops. So you do want to hop over there.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see which... I should write this down, right? But I'm always in such a hurry. It's like I'm just getting through it.
I know. Just takes a split second.
All right. So the plugin that I added is called PrettyLink.
Oh, yeah. Pretty link. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. I mean, I had heard of it, but I just never had a need for it until...
Yeah.
Oh, they add new link. Okay. So the same link that you... so if you go to previously published, it's the same link that you're currently using.
Mm-hmm.
So we did Julie Connor. So we would go to that, and we always want to use the direct download URL.
Mm-hmm.
Back over to PrettyLink.
Mm-hmm.
We want to change the extension to probably the last name. We could actually do a J or something just in case we get people with multiple same names.
Right.
And that's it. Then you hit create.
Mm-hmm.
Copy. Command V on a list. Right. So now he will. So he just has a. So this way we'll just create a list as we go, and then we'll send him that whole list.
And is that the only thing for his reference? Is the link to? Should I put the episode and the speaker name, or?
Hang on a second. I don't think so. Just trying to minimize work here.
Yeah, I mean whatever you need. But...
What if we? Whoops. So it goes to the episode, but you don't get to see what it is. I was just curious how much information would come up. So yeah, maybe just next to it, just put Julie Connor. We're only talking 49 episodes right now.
That's what, yeah, to make it a little easier on him.
Yeah, because I guess what he's going to need, he'll need some reference because he'll have to go, because when he tweets it,
Mm-hmm.
he does put some content
Mm-hmm.
as to what the episode is about. This was the first one we embedded. This is this one, which was the most current episode. So he's good with the hashtags. So branding is for the custom demographic. So he does look at what's on the blog, and that's where he picks up the content.
Okay.
So that might be helpful, just to put their name, so he knows what the episode is about. And if you do it in order, if you do it from most recent to oldest,
Oh, okay.
that actually might help too, because this way it'll correspond with as he scrolls through the podcast.
Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to do most recent to oldest,
Yeah.
and I'm going to do the tagging, and I'm going to create. His name was Jason.
Yes.
Create the list for Jason, right?
Yeah. So basically the process, I guess, is tagging, PrettyLink, list for Jason.
Yep. All right.
And so we'll just work in reverse. You can. Julie Connors is done now. I'll remember. I'll go back and change the artwork for Denise Martin and Julie Connors, so we get the new artwork when it's done in there.
Okay.
And yes, I just thought today if I showed you the process,
Sure.
over the weekend. I suspect we'll probably have this artwork thing worked out over the weekend. Things like this are going to move pretty quickly. As you know, people on Fiverr move pretty quickly.
Right.
So he's working on it now. I've seen one draft. We made some changes. He's now working on the second draft.
Okay.
And then once it's done to the degree that I think I like it, I'm going to post it to my community and get people to vote on what they like or don't like about it, and then maybe. So I think we'll have the whole thing. My goal is to have it ready to go on Monday.
Okay.
Because from what I can tell, I actually think. Again, I know we made changes in iTunes, we made changes in Libsyn, and then we added this tagging. I did it all at once, where if I really wanted to do some market researching, I could have done each thing one at a time to see what made a difference, but I didn't. I was so thrilled to find out, like, aha, that's what's been holding us back. I went in and made all the changes. I do think the tagging probably has a lot to do with it, so I'm eager to get the tagging done because I really want this to bust up. I mean, we're already, it's only the 10th of the month, and I can already see that we're way ahead of some previous months.
That's great. Okay.
So, yeah, I think this might be exactly what we needed to do.
To do that, yeah, that sounds great. Just like you normally do, just email me when Brenda, you can start.
Yep, exactly.
And
Yep.
then tell me where to get the image.
I don't know.
I don't think I'll need the
video. I don't think so either. I was just trying to figure out how I felt. I'm so protective of people's copyrights. I don't know if I feel good about emailing, his link publicly, because I did pay to be in here, and I respect that.
No, that's fine.
But I don't think you need it. It's super simple, isn't it?
Yeah, I've captured what you've told me, so I won't need that.
Good. Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say after I got it going, I was thinking one of us should have captured it, filmed it. But yeah, it actually is super easy. So I think this is. You're going to move through this pretty quickly.
Yep, no problem.
Excellent.
Happy to do it.
That's it.
All right.
Great. Well, thank you.
Okay.
And as I said, as soon as I have the new artwork, I'll put it in Dropbox. I'll just put it in the same. I'll put it in the same episode folder, so it's right there.
That would help.
And like I said, I think you've got access to everything else.
Okay. Yeah. I think
Blog,
I do.
Creative Word, Libsyn. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Excellent.
as soon as I have it, then I'll take care of it.
I know you will.
All right.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay. Pages, all pages. Okay. I'll go to A. Let's see. Okay. Echo sorter. Let's see.